Hi there everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes, and tonight we are getting the reveal of the next legendary hero to drop into the game in just a few short days. I've got the trailer pulled up here, I'm not looking at my screen, we're going to go ahead and watch it raw, react to the reveal, and then afterwards we'll take a closer look at both the unit and the banner to evaluate it as a whole. Alright, wait for that HUD to leave, there we go, okay. And a new legendary hero joins the battle. This is Awakening music. This is Oh, it's Robin! Okay! Alright, wow, look at the armor plating. And the gold trim? Okay.
Thank you for believing in me.
Not bad. So, infantry green tome unit. Lots of really nice detail in his hair and the clothing. Master's tactics. That's a pretty sick sprite kill animation. Let's see, we're gonna see some shenanigans here in action. Alright. Pair up with Crom, BFFs, of course. I'm sure it'll all become clear when we actually take a closer look at his stats and his skills anyway. So, alright, gonna be paired with Seliph as well as Saros. Got Ashera, Faye is also here. We got Thor. Got female Byleth, Elamine, Xander, Shez, and Robin, and Gregor. Okay, alright, 8% rate as usual. Spread amongst these 12 units. Banner is going to start on the 27th and go for what? Is that in 2 weeks, basically? Something like that. And then this, of course, is just going over the fact that FEH Pass subscribers do have access to the Spark. So, Male Robin, you know, this is one that's, I think everybody expected was going to happen at some point or another. It was just a matter of time, really, and that time is now. So we are going to get a Male Robin. Personally, I would expect us to get a female Robin in the future as well at some point. But this time, the male Robin has his time to shine. Exalt's other half. And he is going to be a green tome unit. So if we rewind and take a closer look at, I know a lot of people are going to be excited. I mean, I think Robin's a popular character, and people are pretty amped up about having like a non-Grima representation of more Robin in the game. And you know, not only that, he deserves a legendary version for sure. And I think that you know, people have been waiting pretty patiently for one. I would take a look at his art here. He looks really regal and sorceress. You know, his robes are very thick and billowy with the gold trim. It has this royal appeal to it. The purple, of course, also has royal qualities to it. And then the armor plating integrated into the robes is actually really neat. It's has this flair to it. It's not just simple plating. It's pretty ornate. And then the high collar as well that has armor integrated into it as well. Works really well. And then, of course, the book that's not only floating there, but also glowing with this radiant energy. Just all comes together really well. So, yeah, I think, and I'm actually pretty impressed with the shading, too. Like, look at it, the locks of his hair, look at all the shading that's developed there, as well as the intricacy of the cloth itself, which is something that you sometimes have missing in some art pieces. So that's always nice, that attention to detail. All right, so Master's Tactics, 14 might. Again, is a green tome, accelerates special triggers, so has a killer slaying effect. At start of turn, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants Grand Strategy to unit and allies within 2 spaces for 1 turn. Inflicts -4 to all stats on unit through its next actions. And inflicts -6 on highest and second highest stats between attack, speed, defense, and res for each ally within 2 spaces through their next actions. Subtract 15 from attack when comparing. Okay, at start of turn, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, inflicts -3 to all stats on closest foes and foes within 3 spaces of those foes through their next actions. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, we're kind of on repeat mode here, inflicts -5 to attack, speed, and res on foe during combat, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So this is interesting. This whole tactician role plays into the leveraging debuffs on the unit and turning them into buffs or into positives. That was first introduced, I think it was first introduced anyway, with the duo Chrom and Robin pair. It makes perfect sense for the Legendary version to kind of take advantage of that and implement it, because it's a pretty potent and very unique ability, and I think that's something that he can really make him shine on the battlefield. Yeah, so for those that don't remember, this is what Grant's strategy is, this status effect. So Grant's bonus 2 stats during combat equal to the current penalty on each of the stats times 2 for the unit. So if the unit has -7 penalty on attack, so that red number, the -7 penalty to attack grants +14 attack for a net bonus of +7. So effectively neutralizing or, you know, superseding, overwriting the negative, and then adding on top of it the bonus that's there. So coming back here, you can see how that makes a lot more sense, that he's going to be inflicting his own debuffs on himself at the start of the turn. So when it's at the start of the turn, both he and his allies are not only going to have that grand strategy, they're also going to have -4 on their stats, which means they're going to have +4 net on their stats. So not only does it inflict the -4, or, you know, a net +4 as an activated buff on all of those, or debuff on all of those stats, it inflicts -6 on the highest and second highest stats for each ally. So it's calculated individually between Robin and allies within 2 spaces, so that the grand strategy then gives them a +6 rather than a +4, right? Interestingly, that they use this subtract 15 from attack when comparing the stats as this way of balancing them. Most units tend to be very attack loaded, and so in order to balance that out, I guess they've decided that a flat 15 minus from attack when comparing is a fair threshold. I don't really know how they calculated that. I'm sure they ran some metrics to come up with that number, but that's interesting. So it's not going to be the flat attack stat. It's actually going to be all the stats compared to each other, and then attack -15, and then whichever the 2 highest are going to get -6, the others are going to get -4. So they're all going to get, you know, a pretty decent buff regardless. And then furthermore, not only does he inflict a debuff on himself and his allies that Grand Strategy can take advantage of, he also ends up inflicting a -3 stat debuff on all stats against the closest foe and as an AoE within 3 spaces of that foe. So that's actually really great. There's no limit, it seems, to the proc. So as long as he has at least 25% HP, he'll inflict it on the foe regardless of distance. It's just whatever the closest foe is from him, which is pretty nice, actually. And then further, he gets an in-combat debuff on the foe, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So that's all really good stuff, and all based upon his HP. It's a very, very easy condition to keep in mind, because every single one of these just has to have him at least above 25% or at 25% HP, which is pretty reasonable. That's pretty easy to maintain. So that's great. Ignis for the special. Part of the plan for the A slot, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, once again, inflicts attack speed res -8 on foe, and grants attack speed defense res +X during combat. X equals current penalty on each of unit stats times 2. What? Example, if unit has -7 penalty on attack, grants +14, for a net bonus of +7, calculate each, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Alright, so first of all, it has the same HP threshold, so once again, keeping things very simple for Robin, as he just wants to stay at 25% HP or above, and he gets all of these goodies. Debuff on those 3 stats is pretty strong, and that stacks. It just kind of exacerbates what Master's Tactics is already all about. Gives a further debuff on the enemy in combat, and then provides a buff. So this is really interesting, because this part of the plan, I think, stacks with Grand Strategy, but effectively does the same thing. I might be reading this wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. This is just kind of me reading spur of the moment, and so I could be making interpretive errors here. Grants blank +X during combat. X equals current penalty on each of the unit's stats. But assuming I'm not making a mistake here, what it sounds like this is doing is not only doubling, but effectively doubling the effect of Grand Strategy. And what that means is, because the initial debuff was just for -6, part of the plan actually ends up tripling the buff that they get. So if Robin's, his Grand Strategy and his Master's Tactics inflicts -6 on attack on him, let's just an example, right? Grand Strategy will give a buff, an in-combat buff, times 2. So that would be plus 6. Part of the plan basically has the exact same effect once again, in addition to what Grand Strategy would give, because Grand Strategy is an activated buff on Robin. That works differently and separately from this in-combat buff that part of the plan has built into the skill. So what I think that means, if I'm reading this right and I'm not completely wrong and off base, which I could be, what that would mean is that -6 would end up being plus 18 to attack. So from the -6, from Grand Strategy, you'll get plus 6, then plus 6 again, then part of the plan would give plus 6 and then plus 6 again, since it's effectively meant to negate the debuff, but since it's already being negated from Grand Strategy's plus 6, you just get the full value of the plus 12, right? I think that's what this effectively means, which is a huge boost. I mean, that's a huge boost in how it synergistically works with Master's Tactics. Again, assuming that is how it works and how it stacks. I think that's how it works and how it stacks. That's how it makes sense to me, but hopefully I'm not wrong. And unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. That is always going to be good. Foe cannot make a follow-up attack from Master's Tactics. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack from part of the plan. Those two things obviously work together like peanut butter and jelly. Seal attack 4 for the B slot, so this is going to be the tier 4 of the seal attack skills. So this effectively just means that irrespective of whether or not there's an activated debuff on the enemy or an in-combat debuff, it kind of just all nets to -7. So at the very least, this seal attack 4 will have an in-combat debuff of -4, and then also -7 is how this works. And then Kanto control for the C slot, which surprisingly enough, I think is kind of fitting. I don't know why. I think that does kind of work in with his Master Tactician role quite well, so it does make sense. I still think that the skill is super lazy and very poorly thought out and designed, but that being said, I do feel like it's kind of fitting for his character for some reason. So just kind of taking a closer look at the available units on here, obviously Robin himself is going to debut as a green unit, so he's going to be in those green stones. And he is going to be accompanied by Thor and Xander. Both actually quite strong units. Thor has been out for a while, but she is still such a powerhouse. She really is. She's still so useful to have. And then Legendary Xander is relatively recent as an addition into the legendary roster, and quite powerful as well. So green is looking quite healthy. Green is definitely looking quite healthy. So with red, we've got Legendary Seliph, we've got Shez, and we've got Gregor. So Shez and Gregor are both in the regular pool. Neither of them are limited or exclusive in any way. Legendary Seliph is still decent as a legendary hero, although on the older side these days, I guess. Overall, I think with red, it has some decent stuff from a power perspective. At the same time, I think it does take a hit from a value perspective just from the limited nature, or the lack of limited units on that particular color. Now for blue, we have Legendary Byleth, we have Faye, and we have Saros. That is not a bad color at all. That actually has some decent units on it for sure. All of them, of course, are limited in some fashion, being legendary or mythic heroes. I believe that Faye is the most recent of those. Saros is the oldest of them. But that being said, they all still have a decent amount to offer. For colorless, we have Elamine, we have Ashura, and we have Rearmed Robin. That's very interesting. So Rearmed Robin is definitely going to be a big target for dragon users, having the ability to inherit her skills as well as her weapon and continue to use her as a unit. And then Elamine has that false start ability, which is still super rare and still very, very useful utility on a team, and it's pretty unique. So that does elevates colorless quite a bit. I would say, though, that green is not that far off from blue and colorless here. I would say that green is still kind of on top. Colorless is like right there as well. Maybe blue is a little bit lower, but still like kind of really kind of a photo finish here as far as what really comes out on top. And then red is just kind of, you know, it's just kind of lagging behind. But of course, it all kind of depends on what you have in your barracks that's missing, as well as what your priorities are. But the general word of advice for 8% banners with 12 units is that if you wouldn't mind getting 2 of the different units on a particular color that are available, then it's still pretty decent to snipe on that color. If there's only 1 unit that you're going for on a color, my advice would be to wait for a future banner where they come back, where the odds and rates would be more in your favor. So that is Legendary Robin's debut banner, Exalt's other half, starting on the 27th of February and going for 2 weeks. I myself am not going to be summoning hard on this banner. I'll do the first full circle, include it in my poverty polls, and just kind of fingers crossed see how it goes. But let me know in the comments below if you're super excited for Robin as a legendary hero, or maybe just a little excited. If you're disappointed, let me know. And if you're going to be summoning on this banner, let me know who your targets are and what colors you're going to be pulling on. Best of luck to you. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching, for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, let's protect those skies.